In the previous lecture, we talked about intended learning outcomes and that these should be assessed in all programs. And learning outcomes occur at two levels in programs. There are program learning outcomes, and course learning outcomes further specify these at course level. And all assessments should enable students to demonstrate fairly that they have achieved the learning outcomes. The development of an assessment plan for a program is therefore a matter for all the staff teaching on it, whether they teach only one course or several. This is something that you have to get your head around. One person cannot develop assessment in isolation. Collegial consensus is required to establish the range of assessment tasks that are provided during a program in each course, so that the total of it assesses program learning outcomes as well as all of the course learning outcomes. And staff have to work together to check that all program competencies and ILOs are assessed, and to ascertain that there isn't an emphasis on the easy assessed ILOs, avoiding the harder ones such as values and ethics, because you hope that somebody else will be assessing those. In addition, the discussion is needed about which assessment tasks have to be used summatively, that is, where the marks go towards the final degree class, and which have a more formative role, although formative tasks can also have a mark that is carried forward. Typically, summative assessment takes place at the end of courses, programs, semesters, terms, whatever. And very often the timing of them precludes any feedback being given to the students. In the case of examinations, very often students only find out their mark when it's far too late to discuss anything with their tutors. In my own case, teaching master students where there was no final examination, it was all coursework, all the courses were actually assessed at the very end of the course. Usually a 5,000-word essay in those days. And we set the final assignment at the very end, and very often the students moved on to another course in the next semester or term, and we never saw them again. And although we were there in the building, very often they didn't bother to come and get any feedback. Formative assessment helps to improve learning. And this is a fact. It helps to improve learning while it's happening, because it helps students to improve on where they are, rather than just assessing whether they've done well in a particular task. As David Bowd says, formative assessment is intended to help students plan their own learning, to identify their own strengths and weaknesses, to target areas for remedial action, and develop metacognitive and other personal and professional skills. This is now widely accepted as an essential aspect of assessment. Grading the intended learning outcomes, as we suggest in the first online course, with similarly graded assessment tasks, all provided with feedback, enables students to develop competences and to learn how to learn. This is how assessment can be for learning as well as of learning. So we're using assessment to help the students to go on learning. We're not just testing whether they've learned something. Turning to reliability and validity, some in universities, of course, are very preoccupied with issues around these two issues, rightly so. Reliability simply means that the same test will give similar results with different cohorts. This is called paper reliability, if you're interested. Or that the test is so constructed that two different markers will reward the same piece of work with roughly the same mark. And this is called marker reliability. Well, we all know that the tried and tested instrument of assessment, the long essay, may have paper reliability, but it has been proven time and time again that it has very little marker reliability. The same essay can be awarded a fail by one marker and a high pass by another. And this is not just something I've made up at this moment, it's true. Now, validity is something slightly different. It refers to whether we are testing what we say we are testing. Are we assessing the ILO, or are we assessing something else, such as the ability to write an essay, or whatever? Balancing these two aspects isn't easy, reliability and validity. And there needs to be recognition of the difficulties inherent in developing assessment that is both valid and reliable. Assessment methods should not be chosen for reliability alone, although reliability is an important consideration. Validity can be discussed and agreed through effective collaboration between all of those who teach on a program, focusing on the assessment of program learning outcomes. Are all of the assessment tasks in all of the courses geared towards these and not towards some kind of implicit ILOs that are being rewarded although they're not specified? Finally, we should ask ourselves, am I setting assessment tasks that really allow students to demonstrate achievement of the ILOs this part of the program focuses on? Maybe, maybe not. As I've said just now, the best way to determine good assessment tasks is to do this at the time of designing the course, designing the program, in the company of colleagues, and drawing on any needs analysis that we might have done with professional bodies and whoever. If each lecture works in isolation on this, then you will undoubtedly get loads of repetition of task types, faulty coverage of the programmer ILOs that are intended to be developed, at lack of variety and consequent lack of validity. A question to end with: what processes for setting all assessment tasks in a program does your department encourage? And what might be the impediments to the development of an assessment plan by all of the staff who teach on a program? And how might this be overcome?